I am Jayant Kalpoe, clinical microbiologist with particular interest and specialization in disinfection procedures in healthcare settings. The thing with UVC light is because it can be used highly effective to disinfect, because it inactivates pathogens we don't want in the hospital. It can be used in a very quick method. In a short period, it can be used to inactivate pathogens. So it can be applied easily and effectively, which is an advantage in hospitals in particular. Because we already know for a long time that UVC has the capability of disinfecting pathogens. It's being used for disinfection of air, it's being used for disinfection of the drinking water we have out of the tap. It's also being used particularly for disinfecting TB in areas where we don't want to have TB in hospitals. And now we want to use it in a more open way for more application in hospitals and in areas where patients are coming. If you introduce a new application for disinfection, you want to be able to trust the technology. That's why we did extensive studies in the laboratory, where we showed in different setups, we showed that different kind of bacteria, but also molds and also yeasts can be killed effectively by UVC, by this particular box. And because we wanted to show that not only the easy to kill bacteria, but also the hard to kill bacteria, such as spore forming bacteria, that they can be effectively be killed. And we need that data to prove that the technology is effective, which we did. We're currently in the lab. You see one right here standing. We use it to disinfect small laboratory equipment, particularly because of the coronavirus problem. We want to take extra measurements, but we've also introduced it into long-term care facilities and into GP offices to be able to make it possible for them to disinfect their stethoscopes or their small medical equipment. Obviously, from my point of interest, we look at healthcare settings, and we believe that in hospitals, particularly where very sick patients come in, for instance the ICU, but also with small children which are very vulnerable to diseases, but particularly to get infected by bacteria that comes into the hospital. In those areas, I think it can be of great use. Having said that, I think that the corona pandemic showed us that not only in the hospital there is a great risk for infections, but also in the outside the hospital, in the areas where a lot of people come in, for instance airports, hotels, and any area where a lot of people gather and come together. If you look at the history of UVC light and disinfection, it has a track record of being effectively used. I think we have to remind people and show them again where it comes from, that we already using it for more than 50 years for disinfecting bacteria, for disinfecting and killing bacteria. But we have to convince people that the new technology can be of greater advantage. So I believe, again, a lot of patients having trustworthy data and talking to the people, get them to get familiar with the data and get them to get familiar with the procedures. So particularly for the pandemic, I think it allows us a very effective technology that's easy to use. So it's not only effective, but also easy to use, which make it very attractive for people to use it in a very stressful setting to disinfect anything they need to be disinfected. It can do a lot of things to make healthcare safer. I think that's what we're looking at. Disinfection has to do with safe healthcare settings, and UVC has, if you apply it in a proper method, if you implement it in a proper method, it can help us make hospital environments safer for patients. I will now place my iPhone into that device. You just have to close it, and as you can see, the light will turn on. And while I wait for the device to be disinfected, I have plenty of time to disinfect my hands and take the devices out with a clean hand and use it in a safe way.